Welcome to episode 2 of the SNL show, because we had to get rid of the previous episode because the guy we had on was an absolute dipshit. Nice guy, but nothing interesting to say. So,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen,
I think he drank a little too much vodka before his podcast.
Yeah, he probably smoked a crack rock or two as well, you know?
Something like that.
So, today's guest, who's in the process of connecting, because he's connecting out of Barbados, is an absolute brilliant man. He's an entrepreneur. He's a big advocate for the adult entertainment industry. He's just an all-around amazing man. He's seen the world, traveled, and now he's a real estate investment mogul, basically, in Barbados and throughout the Caribbean. He's very well connected to all the prime ministers of all the islands around Barbados. Very interesting man. His name is Charlie Spice Lewis. You can actually check out his website at charliespice.com. He runs something called the Charlie Spice Experience, of which, if we can get him to connect due to bad connectivity in Barbados, I'll have him explain it to you. But he's in the process of attempting to connect as we speak. He says he's connecting to audio, as you guys can see on the recording.
Does he have any social media going on or no?
He has a whole bunch of stuff going on. Very interesting stuff going on with Charlie. As a matter of fact, I'm going to screen share real quick and see if I can't pop up his website real quick for you guys to take a look at it. Just bear with me here, people.
We're going to look at your search history there, buddy.
No, you don't want to see none of that.
You better be careful.
You do not want to see any of that, my friend.
You're supposed to share after
I log out of everything?
After you bring it up, dude.
There we go. Check it out.
Better watch out. There you go.
Spice.com. Nope.
Oh.
I spelled it wrong.
Try not doing .com. There we go.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Charlie Spice Experience.
Okay, how can we help you?
We're gonna continue.
Continue as a guest or as yourself?
We're just gonna continue as a guest. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, you have a log on to that thing.
I do, but I'm not gonna divulge that during this meeting. This is private stuff. I do not know how to get rid of all this crap. Crap. Oh, he's relaunching the website soon, so.
Okay.
What? Charlie, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So, Charlie Spice Angels, you become a member. His profile. I'm going to have to log in for it. You know what, guys? Ultimately, he's just one of the most interesting men in the world. He's like that guy from the Dos Equis commercial, just from Barbados and not Mexican, right? Let's see if we can't get back. Charlie, are you with us, my friend?
Well, he's on mute. I see his little icon there.
Yeah, let's see if we can't chat with him real quick. Charlie.
Hello there, Steve.
Hey, there he is. Good to have you on, my friend. Charlie, let me introduce you to my longest running friend. This is Captain Luis Guerra. Captain Luis Guerra. This is Charlie Spice Lewis, also a dear friend of mine. Charlie and I, we go back about 8-9 years now, Charlie, yeah?
How are you doing, Luis?
I'm good. Nice to meet you, sir.
Same here. I have to excuse myself a bit here for the benefit of the audience. I'm right across from a pasture here, and someone has 2 cows on the pasture, and they're keeping a hell of a lot of noise right now because he wouldn't bloody well come and feed them. So they're not living room. So if you happen to hear some cows in the background, they're not living with me.
Okay, okay.
Well, at least you know you'll never go hungry, Charlie, right?
I think if those cows continue, I will have beef for a very long time.
That's right. That's right.
I will go out there and sort them out.
That's beautiful. Hey, so Charlie, I was just kind of, I did a little screen share and I went onto the Charlie Spice experience and I was just kind of, explaining to Lewis and the audience that we hope will be on to see this episode, a little bit about you and kind of how I prefaced it was explaining that you are an entrepreneur, you are an investments in real estate, you're a huge adult industry advocate. And then you dabble in other things, but I didn't quite elaborate. I figured I'd let you decide where you want to go with this. You are an honored guest on our show, my friend. So very quick, so you know Lewis and I's relationship. We've been buddies since we were 17 years old. We've been through thick and thin. We've hitchhiked the United States back and forth. I mean, we've been through women and, traveling and good times and bad times. It's just, he's like my brother from another mother, right? So that's a story between Lewis and I. Let me also give you, if I may, a little bit of a kind of an idea as to what the SNL show is about, because I know this was a little abrupt. And once again, thank you for coming on here, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the SNL show, in essence, is to help, people see that there's life past COVID, right? I can tell you for Lewis and I, and also for you, my friend, because we've had this conversation, we're just sick and tired, right? Of all the bullshit, right? And, we're trying to do is show people that you can make money, you can have a good time, you can travel, you can meet good people, you can smile, you can feel safe. It isn't all it was cracked up to be. So that's the basis behind the SNL show, right? That being said, my friend, if you would just introduce yourself a little bit and let us go from there, it'd be wonderful.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you very much, both you and Lewis, for having me as a guest on your show. And I want to thank the audience for indulging me into everything that I have to say. I'm from Barbados in the Caribbean, a very tiny but an extremely beautiful island, just very close to St. Lucia, Antigua, in that area. And but when I was quite young, I could not wait to get off of this tiny island and conquer the world. So I emigrated to the United States, first to New York and then to Los Angeles, where I spent 3 years, 1 year in New York, 3 years in Los Angeles. And from there, I moved to Germany, where I lived for about 4 years. Then I moved to Switzerland. I lived in Switzerland for 6 years. And then I moved to Eastern Europe. I was married in Switzerland. I've got 2 kids in Switzerland, and also got divorced in Switzerland. There's no good story without a divorce in it. And anyway, and during most of that time, I worked in the adult entertainment industry, sex and adult entertainment industry. When I was in Los Angeles, I started off as a male stripper. When I was quite young, and I had an amazing body back then. I wouldn't try that now. Steve, I wouldn't suggest you try either, all right? You should both stay away from that profession right now. But,
Absolutely.
when I was in my early 20s, I was a male stripper, and then I became a male escort. And I graduated from there and started my own agency. And I've owned clubs, gentlemen's clubs, strip clubs, all in Europe and also in Barbados. One of the things that really, what should I say? When I was in Eastern Europe, I saw firsthand all of the atrocities that you could ever imagine in the sex industry. It has a good side, it has a terrible side, and I saw all of the bad things when I was in Eastern Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe. And it was at that point in time that I decided that sometime during my tenure, I would want to become an advocate to fight against all of the, the bad experiences that are faced by people in the industry on a daily basis, like forced prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking, also the various sexually transmitted infections that people in the industry from time to time experience. And as a result of all of that thinking, I launched an organization called the Adult Industry Association, it does not offer any sexual services. It does not offer any sexual products. What we do is we address all of the problems that are faced by not only professionals, but business owners in the industry all over the world. And today we are now well regarded around the world. We're well known by stakeholders in the industry, and we're well subscribed in terms of membership. And this is perhaps the most profound impact that I believe I'm making on the industry. Of course, the flip side of that, I have also the Charlie Spice Experience, which is a very exclusive membership club, because one has to become a member to be able to use my services. And my membership base comprises of extremely wealthy gentlemen around the world. I've narrowed my number of members down to 47 very wealthy guys, and wherever in the world they travel, prior to COVID-19, of course, I looked after all of their entertainment, whether it is Tahiti, whether it's London, Paris, Sydney, doesn't matter. I'm well connected in the industry, and if any of my clients wanted to be entertained in any major city in the world, I just have to get online, make my connections, and make it happen. So that is the Charlie Spice Experience in essence, and it's very private, very discreet, and I carefully handpick my clients, just as I screen the ladies who partner with me. So do I screen the clients to ensure that the brand is at the highest level at all times. And that is, in a nutshell, my involvement in the sex and adult entertainment industry. I'm also a guest lecturer at the university. I lecture on the global sex trade and the impact on the sustainability of tourism. That is going to bring a smile to the faces of your audience, because how does a guy who most people would point fingers at and ridicule, and the word pimp comes up on a number of occasions, that effing pimp, and now he's a lecturer at the University of the West Indies and paid to do so. But I make a very valuable contribution to academia, because most of my students are either psychology students or tourism management studies students, because it is my opinion, and I've demonstrated this, that in order to be a successful manager or director or owner in the tourism sector, you have to understand how the sex industry impacts on tourism, because sex industry has, forgive the pun on the word, has penetrated the tourism sector for years and will continue to do so. Okay. Outside of the industry, I'm a property owner, property developer. I'm an Airbnb host, and I've got investments in a number of different areas in the high tech area, as well as fashion and so forth. But when I'm involved in things other than the industry, I'm very discreet about it. I'm just an investor, and I stay well in the background for the other. So without boring your audience anymore, that is what I'm all about.
That's brilliant, Charlie. Brilliant. I was recalling the other day when we first engaged, and it was in reference to the Charlie Spice Island. Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant concept. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out, my friend, but I still dream about that, the execution of that. That would have been amazing.
I don't think Lewis is aware of this, but there was a tiny island in the Caribbean for sale, just outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay.
Part of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it's owned by a very prominent figure in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he's well in his 80s And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to take my brand to the highest level, to
Yeah.
take the Charlie Spice experience to the Charlie Spice Island, where everything on there is about adult entertainment and so on. But never got it off the ground, never got it funded because it would have been a very, it would have been a big ticket item to launch.
Absolutely.
But it's always there. It can still happen.
Well, you know, we still have a lot of years, Charlie, right?
Well, I don't know how much money Lewis has, so you know, it could
I wish.
Hey, Charlie, do me a favor, man. Talk a little bit more about the association and how it actually helps the adult entertainment industry. I know in part that's that's your mission, right?
Yes, absolutely. It is the one project upon which I would like my legacy to be based, not
Mhm.
on helping super wealthy guys to have fun. To be honest, that is exciting. That makes money, but I really am proud of being in a position to give something back to the industry. We established strategic and sustainable partnerships with organizations like police departments, immigration departments, NGOs that deal with human trafficking and other related violations. We've had ongoing discussion and collaboration and partnership with certain departments of the United Nations, for example. I have actually been approached by the regional as in the Barbados and the OCS countries, the UN office, to submit a proposal for grant funding because they have a dire need to partner with organizations like mine with greater knowledge and understanding of the mechanics and dynamics of the sex and adult entertainment industry to assist them with their initiatives. It is part of their remit to address the problems like trafficking and forced prostitution and the health crisis that exists within the industry. And it is with the help of organizations like mine that they can achieve success beyond what they can without our support. I also partner with individuals who are psychologists, therapists, coaches. I just got a proposal from an individual in the United States who is very keen. I mean, she's done her doctorate in, I believe, sociology, but she focuses on the sex industry, the issues there, and she would like to partner with us. So that is, in a nutshell, what we do and how we do it. When we've got a complaints department where any individual or business in the industry, if they are experiencing a problem, they can submit the details to us and we will assist them to the best of our ability. We may need to bring someone else in to give advice and direction beyond what we can offer. But that is our remit. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's brilliant, man. Brilliant. You know, I mean, as a parent myself to a daughter, right? I think that one of the worst things plaguing our society now is that, child trafficking, sex trafficking. As a matter of fact, Florida is a big hotspot for that. I mean, there are girls disappearing day in and day out. It's absolutely horrible. And the fact that there's people like you out there, putting effort to try to help combat that. I don't think there's going to be an all-time end to it. Unfortunately, there's too much money involved there. And, money's power, right?
It's, the authorities have long since recognized that it is important not to ostracize people like me, because not everyone who is involved in the sex and adult entertainment industry is a perpetrator of those human rights violations.
Of course.
It's a gross misconception that people have that because I am in the industry that I am a human trafficker, that I do not have a moral compass. I mean, there's certain boundaries and lines that I would not cross. And this is going to be quite intriguing for some of your audience. But when I was but a child, I went to church every Sunday. I went to Sunday school. I can recite many of the hymns and the and the chapters and so on, of the Bible, and I've, luckily for me, I've had a good grounding from Barbados, a grandmother who kept me on the straight and narrow path. But she failed, of course, because I ended up in the sex industry. But very often during my tenure, I would look back on those principles that my life is founded on, and I could never cross certain lines. So many of the authorities around the world partner with people like us to develop initiatives and get our input or insight. So yeah, but I think you just mentioned about having a daughter and being very concerned about what's happening out there. Parents today need to be very realistic about sex, about the sex industry, and about the possibility that, I'm not necessarily speaking about when your daughter, but people have to have a more realistic approach to parenting now. Kids today are not like kids 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Kids know more about sex and the sex trade and the sex, and they know more about trafficking than you know. So I think parents are misguided, trying to pressure kids into not doing this and not doing that, as opposed to letting them know that these things exist and having that conversation. They're shying away from the conversations.
Yeah. Well, that's something that happened a lot in my youth, right? And fortunately for me, I consider myself a very progressive parent, so much so that my kid and I speak openly about sex. And I think it's important that she understands that, responsible sex is a beautiful thing, right? It's not a bad thing at all. It's not a taboo. It's very natural. And if you do it responsibly and safe, I mean, it's a lot of fun, right? And she's only 12 and she knows this already. I mean, I've really made an effort to open her mind up to the realities behind, what it is to be a human, right? What it is to have a partner, whether it's male or female. I don't discriminate.
You don't talk to her about it. Her peers will talk to her about it. The other kids.
Well, yeah, and then I have to clarify.
Of course, so you've got to get ahead of the, ahead of them, and have that dialogue.
Yeah.
Manner that brings about the best result.
Well, I want to say something. For me, and Steve knows, growing up in Miami, we used to go to a lot of strip clubs, have a lot of fun with the ladies. But I didn't learn about human trafficking until I moved to North Carolina, and I met a young lady that was involved in doing research for human trafficking. And then after thinking about it, I started thinking about some of the ladies that were in these clubs in South Florida and how they got there.
Yeah.
And I started making the connection that maybe they were in trouble. Maybe they were, brought in by a certain, organization to work, and you can kind of I started getting that feel for that, And another thing too, is I used to work for a porno company down in South Florida too.
Yeah.
And some of the young ladies, they would hire, I laugh, but it's not funny. They were paying like $1,000, and that was such a big amount but these girls weren't from other countries. They were from the Midwest, for them, $1,000 was a big deal,
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to me when I would see them, do their shoots and, call their boyfriends afterwards. Say, I got $1,000, baby. And I was like, man, that's not a lot of money, girl. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that's cool that you're doing that, man. I appreciate it, because I had no idea about human trafficking till maybe 8 years ago, and I'm 47 years old.
Yeah.
I never thought about it, never even,
Well,
It's on my radar, you know?
yeah, we've always been
Yeah.
kind of, shielded here in the U.S., even though it happens daily.
Yeah.
It's as if, the powers that be don't even want to mention it,
Yeah.
right? They want to
It's
mention,
come to light a little more, I think, in recent years.
yeah.
And it's more in the news now. And during COVID, they mentioned it a bunch, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I appreciate that. But
Yeah, it's been in the press quite a lot over the last 10 years, and so much so that the administration in the United States, signed into legislation a new act that governs human trafficking, which it doesn't really look at the problem in its entirety. They just blanket the world, and if you are involved in this, you're human trafficking. That it doesn't. They didn't really think about it properly, and it's really messing up the industry, because you could now be 2 steps removed from trafficking, but because you are part of the food chain, you could actually be indicted for trafficking.
oh, geez.
Really?
So it's quite many organizations are trying to get it repealed, because it's doing an injustice to the industry, because they're just trying to wipe it out. So they're putting pressure on all angles of the industry. But if you launch a website, and which is not even involved in the sex industry, but it's somehow it is 1 step removed, and someone gets trafficked from that site, nothing to do with you. You, as the person who started that site, could be indicted as well. Oh, it's crazy.
So, does the U.S. have that type of power to go to Barbados and indict people for stuff like that? Or is it like a global organization that's doing this, like Interpol or something?
No, but they have such influence that they've gotten all legislators to comply with their regulations, and they have that power.
All right, I'm gonna change the subject.
Yeah.
Are you married? Are you a married man right now?
I'm divorced. I'm
You're
divorced
again? How many times?
I'm not good marriage material, Louis. And I tried it, it didn't work, and I don't think I would want to do that to another woman.
Yeah. It was how many years?
I'm divorced now, God, since the 1990s, 1994, 95, I think.
Yeah.
And it takes a special kind of woman to be able to have a relationship with someone like me, because
Sure.
working in the industry with so many drop dead gorgeous ladies, any of whom would just get on a plane and come here or anywhere just because I've invited them. And and when you're working with ladies, there's a certain intimacy, and I'm not speaking necessarily about sex. When you're working with ladies, you have to get into their headspace and vice versa, because you're working in an industry where there is the potential for danger around the corner at any time. So you really have to have in-depth communication with the ladies, and very often, I mean, that could lead to a sexual relationship with someone. Because you're around them constantly, and they feel very, very open around you. So it's very difficult to have a relationship. Having said that, I do have, there's a lady in my life right now who understands who I am and what I do, and she seems to have the ability not to let it affect our communication.
For you.
But it can be quite difficult.
Yeah. With a big smile on your face, huh? That's brilliant, man. Hey, listen, we just got the 10-minute warning on Zoom. Unfortunately, I haven't upgraded yet, but my friend, I'd like to ask you a few questions about COVID, Barbados, and the sex industry, or COVID in the Caribbean. in the sex industry, right? I mean, has it really, was it the end all? I know we've spoken a couple times over 2020, and you weren't very happy. I mean, you were locked up, you were frustrated, as we all were, right?
Mhm.
Your business, I mean, did it really shut you down for 2020?
It certainly shut my business down. I haven't I haven't done any business under the Charlie Spice Experience brand for over 1 year.
But I mean, can't you have sex with a mask on?
Um, yes,
I mean, you know.
but you see, speaking about Barbados now, and the whole Barbados was devastated by and still is today in terms of our economy because of COVID-19. We are not as resilient as the United States or a larger country
Right.
where you have a diversity of revenue streams under your economy. We depend on tourism. When tourists stopped flying, we were screwed, and Barbados became a ghost town, and we're still struggling to get back there. Flights resumed, I think, last week,
Right.
but there are not many tourists on the flights. And tourism represents the chunk of our economy in terms of revenue generation, and for over 40% of the populace are employed by the tourism sector. So you could well imagine they're all out of work.
Right.
And
Right.
I have never seen so many startups in Barbados ever because of COVID-19, because everybody is now selling this and selling that from the back of their car. Somebody's at your door. Would you want to buy this? I mean, so it has brought about an entrepreneurial spirit like I've never seen before in this country, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah.
Also, many companies have downsized. People, as you know, people are working from home. It has disrupted education like you would not imagine here in this country, because kids are lacking that socialization.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can actually achieve from online learning. You need that socialization amongst other kids.
Yeah. You know, what's funny in reference to education, and I see this with my kid that's in 7th grade, even in school, the teachers are making them educate themselves online. Even while in class, they have to take, YouTube classes and things like that. It's ridiculous. They've taken this as an excuse to be lazy, to not be accountable for our kids' education anymore. And I am livid. The principal of my kid's school, when I call, yes, Mr. Ruiz, what now? And I'm like, you son of a, how dare you, all the time. Oh my God, not Steve again, I'm livid. I can't believe it. It's horrible, horrible.
I don't, any government leader tells you they have figured out how to handle COVID is a liar.
Yeah.
No one knows. It's all a learning curve for everyone. And all governments have made tons of mistakes. And I even in my country, I've fortunately, we're small enough that our government could make a mistake and correct it and put it on the right path, because it's not such a big ship to turn around, like the United States. So they too have had their set of challenges trying to address this COVID-19.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go back to normal. We know that it's not. And I'm not sure we know what the new normal is going to be for us.
Yeah.
We're all guessing at the new normal. It's a buzzword, but it's a buzzword that nobody really understands. What is the new normal? And it will vary from country to country. It will vary from company to company, person to person, child to child. So it's, I find myself struggling to determine what will become of me. What's the end game here for me?
It's a tough question to ask. Yeah, and everybody's asking it in every industry, at every angle. You know, everybody's asking it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's concerning. Fortunately for me, right? Unlike Lewis, who moved out of the state of Florida, Florida and our governor, Ron DeSantis, has been kicking ass and taking names. First state in the United States that says, you know what? There is no COVID in Florida. We're done. We're done. No more COVID. I'm sick of it. I don't want it. It's not happening. On top of that, he put together some legislation that stated the president's any presidential mandate or law or whatever that he's put together that is unconstitutional is illegal in the state of Florida. COVID passports illegal in the state of Florida. If you are rioting and somebody sees you, they can put a bullet in your head. Legal in the state of Florida, right? They are not allowing any of that crap anymore. It's not happening in the state of Florida, and I am so happy that I live here, man, because it's business as usual, right? We're safe. We're not all freaked out wearing masks and trying to social distance. The bars, the restaurants, the nightclubs, the strip clubs are open, right? I mean, it's just been amazing, right? So, listen, very quick, gentlemen. I have to apologize, but once again, it's episode 2. We have less than a minute to go. Charlie, my friend, thank you so much for being on our show. We will do it again when I have some more time because I have a hell of a lot more I want to talk to you about, buddy. Lewis,
Be safe out there.
yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on your show. And I'm welcome. You're welcome to invite me again. I'm
Beautiful.
more than
We
happy
will.
to join you and continue this interesting dialogue.
Wonderful.
Well, maybe me and Steve should go to your Airbnb in Barbados soon.
Not a problem. It's
That sounds like a better
empty
plan.
It's empty at the moment, so you're welcome.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much, my friend. We'll catch up very soon. Lewis, buddy.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, everybody who will be watching, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Our honored guest, Charlie Spice, SNL show, we're out.
Support him.